Minasan, konnichiwa. Sweet shirt, right? Got from Comic-Con. Can't remember the name of the company I got it from, though. It's around here somewhere. I'll find it and include it in a later video. Either way, welcome to the very first comic review. As you can see in the title, and what we'll be reviewing first today is Green Lantern Rebirth. It's greatness. It's amazing. I love it. So just so I can go ahead and include this now, for everyone who's never read these or at this point these are pretty old, but if you never read them, spoiler alert, big time. Quick backstory on Green Lantern, Green Lantern Rebirth, and just so you guys know, this came out in about 2004, so this makes this at this point of time of the video 11 years old. Hal Jordan was, of course, the Green Lantern of the Corps for Sector 2814, which includes Earth, and was the first human to be the Green Lantern. Not counting Alan Scott of the Golden Age comics, who was the Green Lantern with the flame. Yeah, but as everyone knows, well, not everyone knows, but Hal Jordan went mad with power and absorbed the central power battery on Oa and became the villain Parallax, and did some pretty bad things as Parallax until he somewhat redeemed himself by reigniting the sun in DC Universe's Final Night series. Okay, that's the backstory. Well, not quite all the backstory, actually, now that I think about it. The Green Lantern who replaced Hal Jordan after all the Corps was destroyed, after Hal Jordan destroyed the Corps, was Kyle Rayner. And then and Kyle is an integral part of the story. So, quick summary of it. Kyle comes back to Earth crashing in a ship, and his ring is acknowledging that Parallax is coming. This probably one of the fun panels there is right after his ship crashes, he's just basically climbing out of the ship, and he's just just trying to tell these two kids who find him that you got to warn them, it's got a name, but no one's like, well, what has a name? And these kids, they don't know, they know he's a Green Lantern, they don't know who he is though. But so yeah, with the rest of the Corps, Kilowog is revealed is alive. Not Hal Jordan, I'm sorry. John Stewart, who has his ring back, and Guy Gardner, who doesn't have the ring anymore but has other powers. They're starting to go haywire in a similar way that Hal Jordan did. And Hal Jordan, who's tied to the Spectre at this time, his powers are going out of control, and Parallax is fighting to gain back control of not only Hal Jordan but the Spectre as well. And with that kind of power, who could stop him? And during all this, Coast City, like the streetlights and like the actual streets themselves, all suddenly reappear, and the only building that's rebuilt is Hal Jordan's little apartment building. As all this goes on, and the Corps and Stewart and Gardner and Kilowog are all shown to be just been going nuts. But Ganthet arrives, because in Kyle Rayner's ship was the body, of course, of none other than Hal Jordan. And Ganthet arrives to protect him. But Ganthet sends Kyle Rayner to the Justice League base on the moon, where Guy Gardner was taken after his powers went haywire, but then he, kind of goes Parallax himself a little bit, actually kind of literally, and takes out the League members there. When Kyle Rayner gets there, Green Arrows are coming too, and he tells... and Kyle tells Green Arrow that he found out that the entity had a name, and they're trying to figure, well, if this entity had a name, why did it pick Hal of all the Corps? And if it's been the power battery, which it was asleep, because Parallax is the entity and the living embodiment of fear, who woke it up? And of course, it's revealed to be none other than Sinestro, who goes from mediocre Green Lantern villain who just has the yellow power ring, who trained him, to ultimate DC threat. Because quite frankly, Sinestro is one of my favorite villains, obviously. But yeah, and then Hal Jordan managed to separate his soul from the Spectre and Parallax, with the help of Ganthet, but then Parallax infects Ganthet after Ganthet saves the other core members. But Ganthet, with his last bit of sanity, with his last bit of willpower before Parallax takes him over, guides Hal back to his body, and we get just one of my all-time favorite panels in any comic book. I mean, I just love this one. Is when he fully revives, and Hal tells Sinestro, who was attacking Kyle Rayner and Green Arrow, he tells Sinestro, get the hell away from them. And then, you know, an old school brawl between Jordan and Sinestro, which in any comic I can't get enough of. Let me just say that. If there's ever a comic that Hal, Jordan, and Sinestro are going toe to toe, I want to see that art, because I just want to see that fight because I love it. So they beat Sinestro. They go to Earth, and they defeat Parallax and imprison him back in the Central Power Battery, which is the kind of the regenesis of the Green Lantern Corps, which I think is covered in, I think, is a Green Lantern Recharge. I'm not sure. I'll have to check on that. But yeah, as you can clearly tell by me talking about, I love this story. I think Jeff Johns, who wrote it, is just I almost swear by Jeff Johns, because he's just one of my favorite comic writers. He can almost do no wrong in my opinion, and this story was one of the first reasons for why I say that. I love the story. I love the art. Skyver and Rollins with the art that they did in this was just picture perfect. To me, there was not one bad panel of art or stenciling or drawing in this whole comic, and I thought this was the perfect way to bring Hal Jordan back as the premier Green Lantern of the DC universe, and it set up so much more for future stories that I'll cover, of course, later. You have just so much happening in here that they packed into, you could tell, just a few simple, few issues, but I think, to me, this is the one that really reshaped not just the Green Lantern universe, but it reshaped the DC universe as a whole, because it included, it opened the doors for so many possibilities, with Parallax, with Sinestro, with the Corps, and dealing with, how the rest of the heroes, rest of the world, reacted to Hal Jordan being back, which is a very major thing in here. Batman is one of the people who's immediately questioning Hal's motives, and if he's a good guy or not, and all this stuff, and it's just such great writing. To me, it's just one of the premier stories. If you're a comic book fan, this is definitely one to pick up. And just if you just want, I just think if you just want a good story, I think this explains enough of the backstory of the Emerald Twilight storyline, of the Kyle Rayner becoming Green Lantern. So I think it explains enough to the point where even if you didn't read those, you can read this and still be very much entertained, and still very much find it fun, great story. And and if you're not a comic book fan, but I think if you read this will make you want to become one, at least of Green Lantern, because at least of Hal's storyline, and what happens with the Corps after that. I think you'll want to know what happened with the Corps before that. I just think it's just an all-around fun story. So you can find it anywhere. Trade paperback, single issues, trade paperback, the paperback cover, hardback cover, whichever. You can find it. I highly recommend this. It's like I said, just one of my favorites. So Green Lantern Rebirth by Jeff Johns. If you love Green Lantern, if you love DC Comics, this is the one for you. Pick it up, get it, and I'll see you guys soon. Minasan, sayonara. Peace.